Good afternoon, folks. Got another beer review for you here. This is the Beerjerk beer number 151 by Buxton Breweries in the UK. I presume you say Sonrisa or Sonrisa, probably Sonrisa. It's a Clementine and lemon pale ale at 4.7%. Just a warning, if you hear any strange noises, we're expecting an ex-tropical cyclone through any minute, and so it may start pouring with rain and thundering rather loudly, who knows. As far as I can tell, this was a limited edition. The only place I could find any more was in the Beertown festival in Malton in the UK, which is due to be held 17th to the 19th of May 2008. No retailers in New Zealand. Couldn't find any mention of it on the Buxton's website. Beerjerk did have it for $10.50 for one of these 330ml bottles, but they've sold out. So I guess that's a good sign. The Buxton website, nice modern design with information on their core range and their limited editions and collaborations. But as I said, nothing on this particular beer. It's a bit of info on the brewery, how it started, and they do have a tap house, or what we call perhaps a brew pub. It all works well. Shame they don't have an archive section, because they do apparently have some very interesting previous beers, and they have made quite a lot of award-winning beers. It'd be nice to have some sort of archive section where you can get a little bit of info on them, particularly given that they seem to make some interesting looking stouts and high ABV dark beers, which probably keep quite well. And so although they may not make them anymore, there's probably people with them in a cellar or something. I gather they started around 2009 with a 40-litre brew, so not much more than your standard home brew. So it's quite a new brew for the UK, and they've now worked up to having a crew of 10, and they brew 3,300 litres 3 times a week. So that must be close to 10,000 litres a week, which is quite a bit. Apparently they make about 30 beers, plus lots and lots of one-offs. So what's in this? Sonrisa, it's got porridge oats, clementines and lemon juice, as well as Citra, Amarillo and Centennial hops. And I was advised to tilt the glass a bit because it had some deposits and was a bit cloudy, but that has obviously meant that it's got a rather over the top head. So we've got a probably not particularly typical 3-finger head, and a very, very fine carbonation there, but really going for it. And certainly the first you just bring the glass up to your nose, and there is a huge aroma of lemons and oranges, which is exactly how they describe it. They say that it's a hugely aromatic beer with a bouquet of lemon and orange, medium-bodied pale ale with a touch of sour, tart, citrus acidity and a dry, earthy finish. So it's quite cloudy. And as I mentioned, there's that it's more of a, it's not a stewed marmalade aroma, but it's definitely more than just lemon. So I guess that's the clementine coming through and giving a bit of complexity. To the aroma. And it is a nice tart. I don't know that it's really sour. It's not sour like some of the modern trendy beers, which are really, possibly, if you don't like a really sour beer, they're slightly unpleasantly sour. This has just got a nice citrus acidity. It is just tart lemon, and yeah, possibly some grapefruit or orange. I think it's quite well judged. You can definitely tell that it's a beer, and that there's some hops in there, but it isn't overly hopped like a lot of things I find these days. Probably not dry hopped at the end, and so there's probably been quite quite an intelligent blend of the three hops, and so you get a nice astringency mixture from the hops and the orange and the lemon. So it gives you a pleasantly refreshing pale beer or a pale ale with the citrus. It seems slightly, I must admit, at $10.50 for one of these small bottles, despite the very pleasant label, it certainly is one of the more expensive beers I've come across. And you're not paying for a high alcohol content. And I would say that the carbonation is a bit over the top. I don't think that was just the fact that I inverted it, because I inverted it quite carefully and gently, but it really is very fizzy. It means that it would be a little bit to drink. You might get a little bit bloated drinking it, and that's a shame, because it's the sort of beer that would be very refreshing on a hot summer's day. So yeah, interesting beer and quite different, and well worth trying if you come across some, or if they make it again. So yeah, I give it a rating of 15 out of 20. Hope you're drinking something interesting today and keeping good spirits. Catch you again later. Cheers.